Hey guys, it's Miss Turnbull here with your Tuesday video. Today we are talking about the surface area of triangular prisms. This is similar to what we were doing with rectangular prisms, just obviously a triangular prism is going to be bookended by triangles. So here is a picture, a diagram of what a triangular prism looks like. I don't usually like to look at them this way. I prefer when they're kind of angled this way so that's a little bit easier to understand what's going on here. But let's draw ourselves a net for a triangular prism. So that's what we're going to start with first. Triangular prism has 3 rectangles on it. So we're going to start with that. One. Ooh, that's not it. I want to copy 2 and 3. These don't always end up being equal, depending on the dimensions of the triangles will depend on what these rectangles look like. And then the other shapes we've got going on are 2 triangles at the ends. Keyboard shortcuts are hard. Okay. And then I need to flip this vertically. This down here. Okay, so here's the net to our triangular prism. This is what a net for a triangular prism will look like. 2 triangles, 3 rectangles, not necessarily the same dimensions. The 2 triangles will be the same dimensions. These rectangles can be a little bit different. And let's label these with our letters so that we're all kind of familiar with where these letters go. So we've got width is going to be here. Length is going to be here, which means that this side of the triangle is width. This side of the triangle is length. Okay. And that's mirrored down here. So we've got width, length, same thing on this triangle. Base is going to be the base of the triangles. Okay. And then this dimension here is going to be the height. So this is part of the thing that you're going to have to remind yourself about, because up until now when we were dealing with triangles, we used height to talk about the height of the triangle. But in triangular prisms, the height is actually going to start referring to the height of the triangular prism. So you'll have to be careful about that. There's another dimension here, which is the height of the triangle. But since we've already used h, we're just going to use a for the height of the triangle. Okay, so that means that our formula looks like this. Base times height, which makes sense because this this rectangle here is going to be base times height, right? Base times height. Then we've got length times height, which makes sense because this rectangle here is going to be length times height. And then we've got width times height, which again makes sense because this rectangle here is going to be width times height. And then we've got the height of the triangle times its base. Now you'll remember that the surface area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. We've got 2 of these triangles here, which is why we're saying just base times the height of the triangle. So instead of saying 2AB divided by 2, we're just canceling those out because we have 2 triangles. Okay, so this is our formula for triangular prisms. So let's take this formula and try a question with it. So here is our question. And what I like to do is write our formula at the top of the page. I'm still writing in purple. Write in, let's write in blue. Our formula. So SA equals base times height plus width times height plus length times height plus the base of the triangle or the height of the triangle times the base of the triangle. So let's figure out what our variables are for this one. So the base of the triangles is 8 centimeters. The height of the prism is 12 centimeters. And then we've got the width, the length, and the height of the triangle. And these lines here, you may not be very familiar with them, but what these lines mean is that this is an equilateral triangle. This side is 8 centimeters. This side is 8 centimeters. This side is 8 centimeters. Let's say instead they had given us in a different shape, in a rectangle, and you may have seen me do this already once, is that we would say, okay, this side and this side are equal, but this side and this side are equal. So we can add extra hashes to kind of help us understand what we're saying here. So that means that our width is going to be 8 centimeters. Our length is 8 centimeters. And A, they've given us, is 3 centimeters. Okay. So now all we have to do is plug this into our formula. So again, SA equals base times height. So 8 times 12 plus width times height, 8 times 12 plus length times height, 8 times 12. And then the last one plus the height of the triangle times its base, and this is 3 times 8. So we'll grab our calculator here. 8 times 12. Oh, I've got my numlock off. Unfortunate. It's fine. Clear this out. So 8 times 12 plus 8 times 12 plus 8 times 12 plus, and the last one is 3 times 8. And that gives us a surface area of 312 centimeters squared. Okay, that's our surface area for this triangular prism. All right, we're just going to do one more example here. This one is a word problem, and it says Piglet and Tigger plan to go camping in the 100-acre wood with a new tent that they are making out of canvas. There is no canvas on the floor. This is important information. All right, this is why we got to read the question carefully. And canvas costs 13 cents per square inch. We need to know how much material is going to be needed to make the tent and how much will it cost to purchase this new material. So again, our formula for a triangular prism's surface area is base times height plus width times height plus length times height plus the base of a triangle times its height. This is not area, this is the height of the triangle. Now, we were told there is no canvas on the floor, which means the base times height side is not going to have canvas on it. So we can cross that out. All right, now let's figure out what are our variables here. All right, so filling in our variables here, let's start with the width. And we can see here is 50 inches, and so is this side here, which tells us all sides are going to be 50 inches of the triangle, so 50. That means the length is 50 and the base is going to be 50. Then we have the height, which is 80. And the last one is the height of the triangle, which is 40. Okay, these are all in inches. So now we can just fill this in. So width 50 times the height, 80. Length times height is going to be 50 times 80. And base times the height of the triangle is 50 times 40. Grab our calculator. So 50 times 80 and 50 times 40. So now we can go, okay, 4,000 plus 4,000 plus 2,000 gives us 10,000 square inches. This is the amount of canvas that we're going to need. So Piglet and Tigger will need 10,000 square inches of canvas. It's not how you spell canvas. Okay, and then the second half of this question asked us, okay, how much is it going to cost to purchase the material? And this tells us that canvas costs 13 cents per square inch. And you can remember from earlier units that all we have to do is take our 10,000 square inches, times it by that 13 cents a square inch. And we get $1,300, which is a rather expensive tent if you ask me, especially one that you have to make yourself. That seems like a lot, unless it's like some really nice tent. So the canvas will cost them $1,300. Okay, so these are triangular prisms. Stick to your formula. Remember that it's possible for them to say, you know, one of the sides doesn't count. You need to be able to figure out which side that is and cancel that out. If they were to say this triangle wasn't being used, then that would mean that we would have to turn this back to half times the base times height, or base times height divided by 2 of the triangle. Okay, so just know that if they were to do that with a triangle, we're not canceling this whole thing out, we're canceling out half of it. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. I hope this makes sense to you. Stay tuned for later, where we'll post the practice quiz, and your regular quiz grades should be in soon from last Friday. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you Thursday.